Vic, after exercising, sees Melinda looking at him. Then she goes upstairs while he goes to another room. Their daughter, Trixie, plays a song that annoys Melinda. When the babysitter arrives, Melinda tells Trixie to stop the music, but Trixie plays it again, despite knowing it bothers her mother. Upstairs, Melinda asks Vic's opinion on her outfit for a party, but he says she looks beautiful in what she's wearing. While helping her with her heels, she expresses love for him, but he doesn't say it back. At the party, they tell friends they're letting Trixie choose between public schools. When asked about college competition, Vic thinks Trixie is smart, and sending her to college is a bad idea. Later, Vic sees Melinda with Joel, a young man, kissing outside. Melinda stops when she sees Vic watching. A friend named Mary approaches Vic, concerned that Melinda and Joel got together so quickly. Melinda asks Vic to dance, but he declines, not wanting to spoil her fun, so she leaves with Joel. Mary tells Vic that Melinda invited Joel, making him wonder if they're close. Vic isn't bothered. Later, he finds Melinda drunk at the piano, watching her with affection. Joel thanks Vic for letting him spend time with Melinda, which Vic finds offensive. Vic jokes about Martin McRae, implying he killed him for dating Melinda. Joel is uneasy, but Vic clarifies they weren't friends. Melinda sees Joel leaving upset. On the way home, she asks what Vic and Joel talked about, but he avoids the question. Melinda thinks Vic said something as Joel acted differently. At home, Vic blocks Melinda from the babysitter's view as she undresses, making her angry. Melinda rushes to the bedroom. Vic helps her change and suggests she should have chosen someone smarter. Melinda admits Joel's simplicity lets her have fun, arousing her. Vic touches her, but she tells him to leave. Vic finds comfort in his snail farm. The next day, Melinda compares Trixie's science project to Vic's bomb-making skills. Trixie defends Vic, saying he doesn't make bombs, but computer chips. After Vic takes Trixie to school, a neighbor named Kristen jokes about him calling her to cover up Martin's murder. Vic clarifies it's a joke, and Kristen hopes it is, as the rumor has spread, scaring off Melinda's suitor. At lunch, friends Jonas and Grant talk about the rumor. Concerned, Grant advises Vic to rein in Melinda, as she's been flaunting her lovers. Back home, Melinda confronts Vic about threatening Joel. She cries, saying Martin was her friend, and he shouldn't joke about him. Vic apologizes, and she demands he apologize to Joel, inviting him to dinner on Friday. Vic dreads it. On Friday, Joel arrives, and Vic jokes it's just them. Joel worries until Vic clarifies. Trixie asks who he is, and Vic introduces him as her mother's friend, like Martin McRae. Joel says he's leaving for New Mexico. Vic jokes it's his last supper, making lobster bisque, but Joel's allergic. Vic makes grilled cheese instead. Melinda says she doesn't like bisque, praising Vic's grilled cheese. He teases her, recalling her ordering mac and cheese at a fancy restaurant, thinking she was ashamed of her. Melinda says she did it to save room for alcohol. Melinda remarks that Vic can't let things go, calling him abnormal for having dinner with her lover. Vic defends that if he were normal, he wouldn't dine with him. Feeling uncomfortable, Joel excuses himself to the restroom. Suddenly, Melinda tells Trixie to go to bed and asks Vic to read her stories, surprising him. Before sleeping, Trixie asks Vic why her mother acts differently around others. Vic thinks it's just her nature, but Trixie is confused. She also admits she doesn't like Joel. Later, Vic sees Melinda enjoying herself with Joel. He goes to the kitchen and accidentally spills water, prompting Melinda to check on him. She suggests he leaves while she spends time with Joel. She then pours Joel a drink and asks Vic to give it to him while she steps away. Alone, Joel asks if Vic will apologize for threatening him. Vic refuses and jokes about killing Martin McRae with a hammer, frightening Joel. Vic claims Joel's Uber has arrived, though Joel didn't order one. Vic insists and forces him to leave. At another party, they meet noir writer Don Wilson and his wife Kelly. Vic says he's retired, and Melinda adds, he invented a computer chip for warfare. Don criticizes it as unethical, but Vic defends it. Don warns about drones killing innocents, but Vic suggests it could also aid starving children. Later, Vic surprises everyone by inviting Kelly to dance, as he usually doesn't dance at parties. On the way home, Melinda mentions Vic seemed to enjoy his time with Kelly and asks if he wants to sleep with her. Vic denies it, but Melinda gets jealous and tries to distract him while he's driving, asking about Kelly's bedroom skills. Vic warns about the danger of an accident, but Melinda suggests she doesn't mind if they crash if Vic desires Kelly more. At home, they become intimate. The next day, they watch their daughter play soccer. But Vic gets a call from the bank about Melinda's $1,000 check to Charlie DeLille for piano lessons. Suspicious, Vic investigates and finds out Charlie will perform at Oak Tree Lounge. At the lounge, he sees Melinda with Charlie, confirming his suspicions. Back home, Vic finds Melinda's wedding ring by the sink and hears news of Martin's murder. When Melinda returns, she mentions having dinner with a new friend, but Vic solemnly reveals Martin's fate, surprising her. Vic apologizes, but Melinda doubts his sincerity. The next day, Vic and Trixie bring home a dog. On the way, Trixie asks about her mother, and Vic reassures her she's just sad about a friend's passing. While driving, Vic spots Charlie walking with flowers and later finds the same flowers at home, which he angrily tosses. Suspecting Charlie, he goes to the Oak Tree Lounge with Grant, revealing Charlie gives Melinda piano lessons, which Grant understands. Back home, Vic relaxes at his snail farm, imagining Melinda with Charlie. The next day, Vic finds Melinda's bed empty, but she soon sneaks back. Vic demands why she didn't come home and why she paid Charlie. She avoids the questions, so Vic demands to know what she's doing. Melinda remarks on his sudden emotion and challenges him to ask directly. Vic warns she won't be home long and reminds her of their daughter, but Melinda says it was his choice. He insists she stops seeing Charlie. Unfazed, Melinda dares him to divorce her, but he refuses, demanding she listen. She flirts, teasing his assertiveness, but he insists he loves her. When asked about Charlie, Melinda suggests Vic would be bored with anyone else. Later, they attend a pool party where Charlie is invited. At the party, Melinda proudly introduces Charlie to everyone and encourages him to play the piano. While others dance, Melinda dances provocatively with Vic. Later, she introduces Vic to Charlie, but Vic denies meeting him before. That night, Vic discovers Melinda and Charlie sneaking out to the pool. He silently watches them swim and have fun in the rain until everyone moves inside, leaving Vic and Charlie alone. Vic waits until no one is watching before approaching Charlie. Later, Vic changes clothes and goes back inside. Melinda screams when she finds Charlie floating in the pool. As they try to help him, they accidentally drop him, causing him to hit his head. Vic performs CPR, but Melinda panics, claiming he's doing it wrong. A friend accidentally hits her in the chaos, and she's taken inside. Deputy Clark interrogates them, and Grant explains they were the last to leave the pool. Melinda accuses Vic of killing Charlie, and Chief Nichols decides to hear everyone's accounts. He privately questions Vic, who denies killing Charlie and expresses love for Melinda regardless of her actions. On the way home, Melinda is devastated and lashes out at Vic, overwhelmed by Charlie's fate. Upon arriving home, Vic confronts Melinda, questioning if she wants a divorce and warning her to be afraid if she thinks he killed Charlie. Confidently, Melinda denies fearing him, stating she's the one he should be afraid of. The next day, Vic bikes around, feeling uneasy about being followed by a car. After seeing Trixie off to school, Kelly approaches him, revealing Don's suspicions about Charlie's death and his invitation to discuss it with Melinda. Vic invites them for dinner. The Wilsons soon arrive, and Vic urges Don to stop spreading accusations, insisting Charlie's death was accidental. Don suspects foul play, finding Vic's behavior unsettling, especially his claim about Martin. Vic unnerves Don by admitting to killing Charlie and threatening him with a power drill, only to use it for repairs. Don challenges Vic to a lie detector test, which Vic accepts. The following day, Vic notices the same car parked near a restaurant, equipped with a camera, confirming his suspicions of being investigated. Inside, he finds Melinda with a psychotherapist named David. Vic jokes about Melinda's schizophrenia, but David disagrees. Still wary, Vic excuses himself but asks David for a business card, which he doesn't have. Days later, Vic confronts Don, accusing him of hiring David as a private investigator, showing evidence of Melinda transferring money to Don's account. Kelly apologizes to Vic, but Don intervenes, refusing to let her apologize to Vic. Shortly after, Vic spots Melinda with a man named Tony Cameron and decides to follow them, suspecting his wife's activities. Back home, Trixie asks Vic about drowning Charlie, but he evades the question. Trixie mentions people asking her about it, convinced her father did it. Vic reassures her, emphasizing he'd be in jail if he had. Still, Trixie remains convinced, so Vic asks her to keep it between them. Later, Vic overhears Melinda on the phone discussing a trip to Brazil and expressing love for someone else, which infuriates him. The next day, Vic confronts Melinda about her evening, but she refuses to engage. Tony arrives at Vic's snail farm, meeting Melinda there. While waiting, Tony shares his passion for sustainable living. Melinda introduces Tony as her ex, reassuring him Vic isn't bothered by it. Tony sympathizes with Vic, acknowledging Melinda's free-spirited nature. During dinner, Tony suggests cooking snails, but Vic declines, explaining they're not for eating. Tony insists, prompting Vic to explain the process of preparing snails for consumption. After dinner, Vic quickly cleans up while Melinda and Tony enjoy themselves. Filled with simmering anger, Vic silently observes as Melinda and Tony disappear into her room. Sometime later, Vic approaches Tony and informs him that Melinda wants him to see a construction site. Reluctantly, Tony agrees and gets into the car. Vic drives carelessly to a remote forest trail where Tony searches for Melinda. Suddenly, Vic throws a rock at Tony's head, causing him to bleed and beg for mercy. Ignoring his pleas, Vic pushes Tony off a cliff, ensuring his demise. Vic then retrieves Tony's wallet, ties him to a rock, and submerges him in water before returning home as if nothing happened. During dinner, Vic casually converses with Melinda about Tony. Later, he prepares photographs in his office and joins his family for a picnic at the gorge. While there, Melinda wonders why Vic is the only man willing to stay with her and initiates intimacy with him. Vic presents Melinda with an album of her photographs, bringing her joy. As Vic goes to check on Trixie, he spots Tony's body emerging from the water. On their way home, Melinda realizes she left her scarf behind, so Vic promises to retrieve it the next day. That night, Melinda invites Vic to sleep in her room, where they share affectionate words and intimacy. The following morning, Vic hurriedly heads to the gorge, while Melinda searches for him at his snail farm and discovers Tony's wallet. At the gorge, Vic attempts to submerge Tony's body with a stick, but is startled when Don unexpectedly appears. Vic hastily explains he's searching for Melinda's lost scarf, but Don has already found it. Suddenly, Tony's corpse resurfaces, causing Don to panic and flee. Vic pursues him on his bike, taking a shortcut to intercept him. Meanwhile, at home, Melinda becomes distressed by her husband's behavior and begins packing her belongings. However, Trixie intervenes, refusing to leave and throwing her mother's luggage into the pool. In the forest, Don tries to text his wife while driving, but Vic's presence startles him, causing him to veer off the road and plunge off a cliff to his death. Relieved, Vic returns home to find Melinda staring at him. Calmly, she mentions seeing Tony before calmly burning his belongings, choosing to stay with her husband despite his secret.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and stay connected with us.